Susan Slauson, and our executive director for our CEO, Orlando Rendon. I also want to acknowledge where we're located in the city of Philadelphia right now. We're in the 10th City Council District, represented by Council Member Brian O'Neill. And while he could not be here with us this morning, is there Christine Haney here? Christina Haney? All right, come on over. You're just in time. Christina Haney from his office. But I also just learned a very interesting fact, Philadelphia, that I want to share with you. City Commissioner Lisa Dealey is here with us at the Pelbano Recreation Center. And where is she? Come on over here just for a second. This is the center that you grew up in?
This is the center I grew up in. I've served on the board for almost 30 years, and I went to nursery school here.
All right, well, good stuff. Well, the city of Philadelphia is here on the day.
I think this is the first time we've ever saw a mayor at our playground, so thank you for being here.
Thank you. Listen, Philadelphia, we're here today to talk about our response to the current crisis at hand in the city of Philadelphia, and that is associated with snow removal. I have to start because, you know, I always want to make sure that I give the facts. So as we evaluate the city's response to this, I want all of the details to be readily available for you on the record. Since this winter storm, Fern, it hit about 9 days ago, many of our streets and sidewalks have been difficult to navigate, whether we're talking about by car or on foot. And so we are here today to talk about solutions, because for those of you who know me, I don't peddle in excuses. We proffer solutions. And that's what my administration is here to affirm for you today. So I want you to know that the storm was followed by an extended stretch of extreme cold that froze snow and ice in place, and it did slow up cleanup efforts across the city. In fact, much of the 9 previous days, we've been below freezing. Which was the longest stretch of frigid weather the city has seen in over 22 years. Don't take my word, check with the meteorologists. They'll tell you the same. So these historically cold temperatures have hampered not just Philadelphia, but I want you to know it's the entire region in the Northeast Quarter. I'm talking about from New York City to Washington, D.C. They are still reporting being in intense recovery operations right now as it relates to the snow and ice removal. And speaking of recovery, our Office of Emergency Management officials, they have been, this is what you don't see on social media. You know, this is not on Facebook or Instagram, but our Office of Emergency Management officials, they have been actively engaged with both state and federal officials to ensure that maritime activity on the Delaware River remains uninterrupted as it freezes over. Now, someone is saying, wait, I thought we just had challenges, you know, with snow on the ground and in streets. No, it's actually impacting maritime and ships that are bringing valuable supplies, supports, and quite frankly, that's the part of the nucleus of commerce in our region, and it is being impacted right now. So our streets department is actively awaiting right now a resupply of road salt from ships that right now, again, are being blocked in the river by ice. Not something that we've talked about, Carlton, on the record before, but I need you to know that that's also having an impact right now on supply. So what are we doing? We're tracking their progress closely and investigating alternate methods of resupply in the meantime. So I just want you to know that our One Philly response, it began days before the first flakes fell. At the height of the storm, we had over 1,000 employees and over 800 pieces of equipment clearing the snow from our streets. We've dropped over 31 million pounds of salt on our roads ever since, and to aid in keeping them dry and clear, again, we're working on that resupply as soon as we possibly can get that done. You're going to hear more about that response from our Clean and Green Director, Carlton Williams, but right now I want you to know we are actively concerned about vulnerable populations throughout this unprecedented stretch of cold. Our outreach teams have made over 5,600 contacts in the past 14 days alone. And I want to say a special thank you to that entire team from Office of Homeless Services, our folks over in DBIDS. Everyone has been working together, and I want them to know that I see them. 5,600 contacts made in the past 14 days alone. You're also going to hear from our Parks and Recreation Commissioner, Susan Slauson, about how recreation centers like this one has shifted to 24-hour operations to support our Code Blue efforts. And she's going to talk about that in just a moment. But you heard me mention that, yes, we have a challenge, and it's snow and it's ice. We're not going to focus on the challenges. Our job is to come up with solutions. So as mayor, I made a promise to you, Philadelphia, that we would fight every challenge using every tool in the toolbox. And that's exactly what brings us here today. As a part of our winter storm response, we have launched our same-day work and pay snow removal program throughout the city of Philadelphia. Now, what does this program do? Mayor, I thought you just said that the city of Philadelphia has had at the height 1,000 employees on the ground doing this work. Why is it necessary to enact this same-day work and pay snow removal program? I'm glad you had the thought. The program is focused on clearing snow and ice specifically from ADA ramps in residential neighborhoods near 10 recreation centers in every city council district. And you know we have 10 districts, and right now we're in the 10th. What's the goal? The goal is to ensure safe and accessible access to recreation centers, schools, and nearby commercial quarters. Why? Because the safe sidewalks matter just as much as safe streets. And even when a street has been plowed, if you are in a wheelchair, you need the curb cuts for the ADA ramps to be fully free of ice. And that is why it was necessary to launch this One Philly snow removal effort across the city of Philadelphia. When did the program start? The program launched on Tuesday, and crews are already making progress in neighborhoods across the city. Director Williams, people have been videotaping you all through there. Even if they don't come outside, don't think you're not being recorded. They sending us videos through their windows. They're recording the snow removal team, Mel Wells, while they are helping us clear to these ADA ramps. So I'm excited about that. Now listen, when I was briefed about the first day of progress, and this is what One Philly means to me, a total of 238 people showed up for work, and they cleared over 60 corners in 4 hours. 238 people across the city of Philadelphia cleared over 60 corners in 4 hours. That's what One Philly looks like. Our amazing city workers, our municipal workforce. I don't care what anyone says. You are the best in the business. We've been watching you working double time in order to ensure that the city is operable and we're able to function, and we are grateful for you. But to Mel and to Atif, I'm grateful for you for ensuring that we could put people to work to help us with the additional supports we needed to provide. And so you can expect Philadelphia to have and see more of an impact in coming days. And I've said this before. I don't know if you remember this, Director Williams. This was the first, when we knew it was coming heavy and we were getting prepared. People kept asking for a very specific time. Give us the date. that the snow removal operation will be complete in the city of Philadelphia. And my response is, this job will take as long as it takes to make sure that the city of Philadelphia is free and clear of snow and ice in any way that prevents us from functioning at 1,000% capacity like we would do if there were no snow or ice on the ground. So I want to turn it over now to Director Williams, who will explain the scope of the same-day work and pay crews and how this effort fits into our broader snow response. We are at war with the status quo here in the city of Philadelphia, and let me affirm what that means. When I first got here, when did I get here? January 2024. I was heading to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, my first conference with them in D.C. And we got about 5 minutes out, and Director Williams, Dom, and OEM, they said, you have to come back. We said, why? They said, we are now in full snow emergency roads based on what information we had received from the weather service that the city of Philadelphia contracts. I turned around and I'm in the car getting a briefing, Philadelphia, and this is real time. Did I put it on social media? No, but I need you to know that it happened. I'm getting briefed, and they're telling me about primary and secondary streets in the city of Philadelphia. And I guess it was PTSD from the blizzard of '96, when I watched my mentor, Marion Tasco and Dwight Evans, have to stand up in the middle of the street and say, thank you for doing the primary and the secondary roads, but what about tertiary streets in the city of Philadelphia? And a response I received on that call, Carlton, I'll never forget it. It was, Mayor, we don't do tertiary streets. I said, I don't know what you did in previous administrations, but in the Parker administration, we will get to tertiary streets. I'm not telling you that we will wave a magic wand and it will happen in 24 hours, but it is our intent, and we are intentional about this, to get to as many tertiary streets as possible. Now, do I apologize to anybody by saying, wow, that's such a high bar? How are you going to do that? Some of the blocks are so super small. Do you even have the equipment that's needed to get it done? We use every tool in the toolbox, and on today, that means, in addition to our amazing workforce, same day work, same day pay, and we all respond together. That's the One Philly response, and we don't care that our goals are here. We're gonna find a way to come up with sound solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you again, Mayor, for your leadership. And I do remember those snowstorms in our first time we talked, and you made it very clear. Every neighborhood, every part of the city will get the same level of service. Some may take longer than others, and I just want to reiterate what our mayor has been saying and we've been saying all along. No matter how long it takes, patience is the things that I asked for when we first had our storm, because we saw what the potential of this storm could provide in the city of Philadelphia, but not just here in the city. As you heard the mayor say earlier, New York City, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., New York, all of those areas are impacted the same way we are, dealing with ice, icy conditions, frigid cold temperatures, which makes it very difficult for us to move like we would normally do. That storm in 2024 was favorable for us. We had good weather that day. We were able to move snow very quickly. This one was very different. Each storm that we face and we fight continues to provide different challenges. And this had a combination of not only snow, but ice, but frigid conditions, and it makes it very difficult and challenging because that doesn't go anywhere. So we have to come up with different strategies and solutions, and one of the strategies that we used, and you're seeing it right outside this rec center today, is a lifting operation. And so we physically have to take out snow piles from locations in the city of Philadelphia, here in the Northeast, down in South Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, and all around the city, so that it doesn't create safety issues. And if you want to go to one of our locations throughout the city of Philadelphia, we had 37 drop-off locations where this snow was piled. I invite you to see over 12 feet high mounds of snow that are blocks long in many of those locations. And I want to thank the Philadelphia School District, Parks and Recreation, the Navy Yard, for being so generous and responding so quickly to our ability to have to move that snow, because in our preparation, Mayor, we had to make sure we had those opportunities, because they don't exist. Years ago, they used to put them down at locations like Broad, Washington, and right in the middle heart of the city. But those areas are now developed, and they are no longer available to us. And no, we don't dump snow in the river, as so many people have said that why don't you just dump it in the river? That is not an EPA standard. We have to find locations around the city of Philadelphia to place it. That operation takes time. So I just want to reiterate why this is taking as long as it takes, as the mayor said, and we ask for your patience. So what have we done so far? We brought in a melter in the city of Chicago. That melter melted over 4.7 million pounds of trash. Pounds of snow, I'm sorry. Ultimately, we've also, as the mayor said, used 31 million pounds of salt. And we're watching our salt levels very closely, because that is a big concern to us. She mentioned the challenge of the barge finally arriving in the city of Philadelphia. So in the event that there will be other storms that will be coming, we have to watch our salt levels as well. So those are the things that we're planning behind the scenes. At no point do I want people to think that this city was not prepared for this storm. Right. We worked very hard with multiple departments. We worked with our private contractors. We knew the challenges that we would face, and we're dealing with them right now. And ultimately, our goal is to make sure every neighborhood, no matter where you live at, is treated. That's right. That is our goal. Even more so, under this mayor, she's made it very clear that pedestrian access is extremely important. And so we're focused on not only clearing the streets, but we're clearing ADA ramps. We're clearing septic stations. Over this last weekend, we put a team together with PPA, also with the Department of Public Property, even PennDOT and DCNR. We all collectively came together and targeted high pedestrian usage septic stations, septic stops. So we want to make sure people aren't standing on mounds or standing in streets or having to climb over, all of those issues. And so that is where our focus has been right now. The cleanup operation, as many of you saw yesterday, started on South Broad Street. We had a massive operation where we shut down part of that area so that we can clear those lanes and clear those walkways so that people can travel safely in and out of the city. And we're going to continue that throughout the entire process. And what we're about to launch today, or we launched yesterday, was an extremely important initiative. Not only are we looking at commercial corridors, but people have to leave their homes to walk across the street to come to rec centers like this one here. And so we needed additional resources to be able to accomplish that goal. And we called on the same-day work and play program led by my good friends behind me to call the service. And just yesterday, the first day of the program, over 200 people showed up at 10 locations, recreation centers like this around the city, and cleared over 60 blocks. What does that translate to? That's almost 500 ramps across the city of Philadelphia. These are things that we need to get done. It hasn't been done in the past, but as our mayor just stated, it needs to be done now. And we are focused, laser focused on bringing, as she stated also, every tool in the toolbox. This is just one of many of the tools that we are utilizing. We use our great work of our streets teams that's been out there for a couple of storms. We had two storms prior to this major event, and they've been fighting ever since. And I do want to make sure I acknowledge the hard work of our workers who are constantly battling these elements and are working to keep our city safe and clean. I'm going to now turn it over to Commissioner Susan Slauson, who can then give you an update on many of the programs that we're running, and then I'll make sure that I come back to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. As I'm standing and I'm listening, I'm thinking about challenges. But really what overshadowed that for me is how we respond to challenges, because we're going to have them no matter what, regardless of what's going on. And I am proud to stand here with Madam Mayor, because her response has been, for the city of Philadelphia, whatever it takes. Whatever public service, we can offer to make a difference with the snow, with the cold weather. She's pulled out all the stops. Madam Mayor, thank you. I am proud to work for you, alongside of you, because we are doing everything possible under her leadership to ensure that we are meeting the needs of Philadelphia. So there are challenges, but please keep in mind the mayor's responses to all of these challenges. And so just about an hour ago, this very recreation center operated as an overnight warming center as a part of the city's emergency Code Blue response, talking about a challenge. How do we respond? The mayor made sure we're going to make sure that our unhoused population, they are not sleeping outside. We are picking them up. We are transporting them. We are going after them to ensure, and we're opening up our facilities throughout the city of Philadelphia. So over the past 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, 6 of our parks and recreation locations welcomed nearly 2,400 visitors, giving them a warm, safe place to sleep and eat during extreme bitter cold. With the very rec center that you are standing in today, over 200 people have been in this location. And that's not including during the day, because now we have our libraries. Because they have to leave because we run programs here, but we open up our libraries to ensure that throughout the day, they're still in warm facilities. Talking about how we respond. We have challenges, but how are we responding? And the numbers, they include our libraries, and the mayor, her housing plan. This is why this is so important. For this very reason, to ensure that we are protecting those very people that are vulnerable. So I want Philadelphia to also know, when we talk about One Philly, this is what One Philly looks like. Because it's not just Parks and Recreation that made this overnight possible for those people that have nowhere to go. It was OEM, it was Office of Housing, it was DBHIDS, it was streets, it was police, it was fire. Philadelphia is really working as one Philly, because you can't do this. You can't work this in silos. And so I am excited that I get to work with people like Director Williams, who has overseen this here snow emergency and ensured that all of us are pulling together to clear up these streets, to make sure that our unhoused are warm and are safe. And so as I stand here with you, Madam Mayor, and I stand here with all of my colleagues, I just want to say to you that can I do this? Because the mayor does this all the time. I have to give a special thanks, since I'm here, to my staff.
Yes.
Because my staff, those overnight facilities, I had people working 36 hours, did not go home to ensure that we had places for people that didn't have shelter. They stayed 36 hours. They fed people, they cleaned up, they did what was needed. Here's how we respond. Yeah, there are challenges, but how do we respond? And so I want to thank Sue Buck, Mayor. You know Sue Buck over here, she likes to hide. Frank Fabi, of course, Rob Jackson, standing back here, our Deputy Commissioner for Programs, and a couple of the guys that are here. They're sitting back there. They did those overnights out there snow plowing. Director Williams told us where to go to make sure we were supporting, and they showed up, Madam Mayor. So I want to say thank you to all of my team. Thank you so much. Streets Commissioner Del Rossi, we've been doing what you've charged us to do, working as one Philadelphia. So the work continues. Our crews are out there, boots on the ground, clearing under direction of Carlton Williams here, park our curb ramps, our bus shelters, our fire hydrants, our walkways, to make sure people can get where they need to go. We know there's more work to be done, and we're proud to say we have managed, and we're managing, and we're responding. Thank you, Philadelphia. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, thank you. Now, Orlando, CEO. Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And first, I wish to applaud Mayor Parker for her leadership in deploying all available resources to keep Philadelphians safe, including her directive to mobilize the same-day work and pay program to clear snow and ice in our neighborhoods. I would also like to thank Director Williams and Commissioner Slauson and so many other city departments that have been working collaboratively to deploy these teams. I'd also like to give a special shout out to CEOs, same-day work and pay staff who are here today, Beth McConnell, Ashley Harris, Tara Williams, and Pam Ramos. Please wave. Please say hello. This is the core team that puts this stuff together to make sure Philadelphians are served. CEO Same-Day Work and Pay is a unique program, but there are a few cities who do conduct same-day work and pay, but we are the conveners of practice to make sure that residents get programs for our cities and our residents. It works like this. Philadelphians can sign up through one of our contracted providers to do the work that improves our communities, like litter pickup, landscaping, mural painting, or like yesterday and today, snow and ice removal. They get paid at the end of the shift so they don't need to wait for weeks for their pay. Each day, same-day work and pay supports Philadelphians who need a paycheck, who may need to put food on the table, who just need a little extra to make rent. It supports people who may struggle to get into immediate employment. Same-day work and pay, though, is not just a day of work and pay. It is a door to connect people to a next step, whether that's getting their identification, signing up for benefits through our Beneficiary program, or getting permanent employment or enrolling in training programs. Over the last 2 years, Same-Day Work and Pay program has completed more than 22,459 shifts across Philadelphia communities, demonstrating its continued impact and reach. The program has also helped people who have significant barriers to employment, including incarceration history, achieve economic mobility. We have many success stories we can share with you about Philadelphians who have done this with our partners. Due to the high demand for work opportunities, the Same-Day Work and Pay program currently has a waitlist of more than 1,100 individuals eager to participate. Just yesterday, our partners Uplift and Nomo Foundation were able to deploy 238 people in just 36 hours to do this work.
Can we give that a round of applause, please? Thank you.
That's a huge uplift with a very short amount of time to turn over. Clearly, people need this opportunity and are ready to serve Philadelphia's call. Today, we expect 300 individuals to be deployed starting at 11 a.m. When you see them out there today, you'll see that they've been given equipment to do the job and the gear to keep them safe. CEO works with several nonprofits to do this work, including Uplift Solutions, who is here with us today. I want to specifically applaud Atif Bostic and his team at Uplift Solutions, with whom this work would not be possible. They have been an incredible partner, and we are truly grateful for their hard work, their late nights, and their very cold days. I would like to introduce Atif Bostic.
Thank you. Thank you, Orlando, for those very kind remarks. First, a good leader takes leadership, and I want to make sure that I'm following Commissioner Slauson, our mayor, in recognizing my team as well, who's joining me as well, Kia Roberts, Lauren Ruday, Monique Oatman-Robinson. These are the people on the ground actually doing the work, making the things happen, while I get up here to be with the mayor. So thank you for the work you guys do. Today, my team and I are proud to stand beside Mayor Parker and her team as we work to address critical issues facing our city. As a same-day work and pay provider, we work diligently to support the mayor's vision to use every tool in her toolbox. And you heard that several times today, so I've been tracking that, to ensure the residents of Philadelphia get the critical services they need and deserve. By leveraging the strengths of 3 community-based organizations, Uplift Solutions, working with One Day at a Time, so we're joined by Mel Wells, who is a phenomenal partner of ours in the community who you'll hear from shortly, as well as Nomo. We're recruiting, organizing, and deploying up to 300 individuals a day across the city to clear critical areas, which you just heard about. Orlando talked about the economic development component of this, and I want to spend just a moment because that's where it really lies for us as an organization. As it relates specifically to same-day work and pay, we look to programs like this as a mechanism to create an on-ramp to economic opportunity, right? So it's the front door, it's the pathway for us to get there. While leveraged to support critical issues or initiatives such as emergency snow removal, the same-day work and pay program plays a critical role in the workforce development ecosystem. Even more, same-day work and pay for many is the first step to accessing critical services that include benefits navigation, comprehensive wraparound services, job training, and placement. And you'll hear more about someone that's actually going through this entire process and more, and putting them to pathways to economic mobility. As an organization supporting some of Philadelphia's most vulnerable citizens, justice impacted individuals, we recognize the value of having those closest to the problem be part of the solution. We find our participants take pride in making a difference for their neighbors. They deeply understand what it means when Mayor Parker emphatically reminds us, one Philly, a united city. And with that, I want to bring my brother, my partner in crime in doing this, Mel Wells, to talk about some of the other things that's happening.
Thank you, Atif. I love you, brother. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm asked Darnell to actually stand by me as well. Why, you may ask, I asked Darnell to stand beside me. He's a graduate of the same-day pay program. I was called to City Council a few years ago, right before this administration, say, what idea do we have to come up with to help our city? I whispered in the ears of those at council, and we said same-day pay. They said, Mel, that's a great idea. I'm like, wow, they went for the same-day pay. But this is the fruit of same-day pay. We have people, hundreds of people around the city who now have permanent jobs. This man, Darnell Scott, the day he got out of the penitentiary, went right to same-day pay. That was over how many years ago?
7.
7 years ago. Today, he stands here with a team of 19 ex-offenders who work through same-day pay. That's what same-day pay is about. Same-day pay is also about making sure that, you know, the other incentives that are out there to reduce the gun violence. Right. Also, Madam Mayor, I'm gonna thank you publicly, because I don't think they treat you fair sometimes publicly, and God put this on my heart. I am a minister as well. The thing I want to tell the city of Philadelphia about our mayor is that she started work way before the storm. She started working in people's lives in the storms of life. When she brought same-day pay to the forefront before the storm, she started deploying outreach services as One Day at a Time, DBH, OHS. We have outreach vans on the streets 24 hours a day. And because of them, putting people in warm beds, hundreds of people now in warm beds. They have 3 meals a day. They have case management. Now they're on the fast track to also receiving housing. Thank you, Madam Mayor, so much for making that happen. Because I think people only see the ice and the snow, but they don't see the frost that is going on, the defrostness that is going on in people's lives. And that's what same-day pay is about. One day at a time. Uplift, no more organization. The city of Philadelphia, I think that the storm actually met a storm. That is the people of the city of Philadelphia. We make things happen out of the impossible and make it possible. That's what we do at One Day at a Time. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Listen, out of every crisis comes great opportunity. And you've always heard me say that the city of Philadelphia cannot do anything alone. We're working using our intergovernmental collaboration, local, state, and federal partners, our city agencies, all of the NGOs and nonprofits we work with. Let me also give a huge shout out to block captains right now in neighborhoods across the city when there were sidewalks that weren't shoveled. In many instances, I remember when you gave the directive and said, if you know that there's a senior on your block who can't get out, they don't have the physical capacity to shovel the snow on their sidewalk, do what we used to do, right? And listen, people have been doing it. So for those Philadelphians who have stepped up and demonstrated what working together in one Philly looks like, we want you to know that we appreciate you. I'm so happy, Director Williams, and to all of our partners who are here today, I'm so happy that as the mayor of this city, I never tried to be a chameleon. I'm also glad that you all have never said, and I have never promised to the city that we were perfect. We are not perfect, but we do insist on being doers and fixers and solutions focused to address every crisis that's facing our city. And Sue, you are just echoing, will we have challenges in our life in the city on a daily basis? But it's how we choose to respond to those crises that matters most. And to Mel and to Nomo and all of our partners, Atif and Uplift Solutions, this is what the solutions look like. So now we want to make sure that we take some questions. I do have to just say to you, William, right now, I wish he was here to see the 7 years, putting people on a path to self-sufficiency. Mel, Atif, you mentioned dignity. Dignity. There is nothing like giving someone access to an opportunity to do a job that they know is appreciated. Some people, when you all were doing the work, they were beeping horns to people. Some people were bringing tea. Can we give you some tea? Can we give you some hot chocolate? That's not money, but guess what that is? That gives people a sense of pride and dignity. And if you want to see an individual's head up and shoulders back, let me feel a sense of dignity about work that I'm doing, and it does everything in the world for us as individuals. So I just needed to affirm that for the record. We now want to take any questions. Yes.
It's been 9 days. We've been out there every single day. We've been alongside this crew.
Yes.
We've heard the complaints. We've heard the compliments. As a Philadelphian,
Yes.
take off your mayor's hat.
Yes.
What is the grade you would give this city 9 days out from what you still call a crisis?
I want to say to you that as a Philadelphian, for me, I like the tall order. And for me, that's having high expectations. So giving Philadelphia a grade for having high expectations, I think the greatest grade you can give, and that's for all of the leadership who is here. Now, you're not going to have me on the record giving you an A through F grade for the city of Philadelphia. That's just not what I'm going to do. But what I will say is I am pleased that we have a group of leaders who are challenging the status quo, who have said when we have been in our meetings, don't tell us about what the standard operating procedure has been in past administrations. We do things using a one Philly strategy. That means we don't work in a silo. Every department that has a nickel and a quarter of making it happen, we do. We work at an intergovernmental level, and we work with entities outside of government. And Mel, when you were given the history of same-day work and pay, with all due respect, I'm thinking about my good brother, former Council President Darrell Clark, because when this was all a part of the overall strategy we had. We built TCB, taking care of business. That's the cleaning that you see year-round on our neighborhood commercial quarters. We did same-day work and pay. I'm thinking about Jane and Mural Arts. All of these vehicles provide opportunities for us to employ Philadelphians to help us address the challenges that we may receive at different times. So, you know, how do I rate Philadelphia? I know I have the best leaders, and this is what I say all the time. You can be the president of the company, you can be the mayor of the city. None of your success will come directly from your vision alone. Anybody can have a big vision, a big thought, a big idea, and or big goals. The challenge for me is being able to operationalize the focus. What's the promise to you? Give us a chance, we'll make it the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in the nation with access to opportunity for all, economic opportunity for all. What do you see in the day? A group of leaders who operationalize it. They make it happen. Thought and the vision communicated to you, but these are the people who do it, and I'm grateful that we have a group of can-do officials who are leading in the best way possible. And I don't, if I haven't told you enough, which I try to do, and I'm very intentional about that, this city doesn't work without you and the amazing men and women who are part of our workforce making it happen. But I appreciate that. Yes.
I was out in a number of neighborhoods yesterday where snow and ice removal was happening, and a lot of those neighbors were appreciative of the city's efforts. On the flip side, there were other neighborhoods, residents I talked to, especially North Philly, that looked at the efforts, especially on South Broad, and said, it's always South Philly first, it's always Center City first. How do you prioritize where those large machines are going to clear off snow and ice, and what would you say to neighborhoods that feel neglected?
I'm going to let Carlton answer the logistics and the strategic decisions about where you deploy, what kind of equipment, and where you start. He'll get to that. This is what I want to affirm. We said from day one that we won't leave any neighborhood behind. We have 10 council districts in the city of Philadelphia. For the first time in this city's history, we have residential street cleaning teams very specifically assigned to each council district, and the teams that are being deployed right now, even through the same day work and pay through every neighborhood. Now listen, you hear me talk, I'm the one who talks about Dr. Maya Angelou's quote, that in life people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never ever forget how you made them feel. And we can't stop people from feeling how they feel. The only thing that we can do is use every tool in the toolbox to do the best job we can in removing the snow, the ice, or any challenge that we have, and we all get to it as soon as we possibly can. But what's most important to me, and the greatest thing people say to me in the supermarket, in the cleaners, going to get something to eat, is, Mayor, we saw the workers out there trying. Notice I didn't say perfection, because we don't promise to be perfect. Maybe you all are perfect, but we don't promise perfection. But what we do promise is that we won't stop trying to get it done until it's done, and we won't leave any neighborhood behind.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your question. So how do we determine where the services are needed? We use data, data-driven results. Data from our 311 system. I want to acknowledge Aubrey Powers, who's back here, along with Commissioner Del Rossi and Commissioner Shipman. And we look at where those challenges were from previous storms. And of course, we look at the challenges that we had with dealing with tight-knit communities like North Philadelphia, like South Philadelphia. They may not have seen it, but we had the same lifting crews in South Philadelphia that we had in North Philadelphia. We had them in Roxborough, and we had them all throughout the whole city. So we look at those neighborhoods and see what the challenges are, and then we adjust our resources accordingly. So that is a combination of constant looking. We have cameras, the same cameras that we use for police monitoring. On the day of the storm, we met 3, 4, 5 times. What's the condition report? What are the areas that we need? We need to shift equipment here, there. We're constantly doing that. That is a constant process from the start of the storm. And Dominic Morales, he's back here as well somewhere. I just want him to be able to acknowledge this. This is our OEM director. These meetings are coordinated well in advance of what we need and how many resources. I can tell you this, we doubled the amount of resources that we put out for this storm than we did in any previous storm. We had over 1,000 employees, over 800 pieces of equipment. On average, we usually do 450. But this storm, because of the challenges that it posed, we had to double it, and we put more resources in communities. We definitely focused on those tight-knit communities. South Philadelphia happened to have the most smaller streets. They're tiny. You can spin your arms and be across the street from one second to the next. That takes a very different strategy than someone coming through with a plow. So that is why those areas get addressed with different equipment, that lifting operation, smaller equipment, and we have to adjust it accordingly. And we made sure we addressed it where it was needed the most in all parts of Philadelphia, not just South Philadelphia.
Director Williams,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner just mentioned something about the size of those smaller streets. What's the difference between when people say, why can't you just bring a plow through the street? And she's telling me about a bob. I don't understand. Talk about the difference.
A bobcat, that's a commercial name. It's a skid steer, small. It's about the size of a golf cart. Oh. But it operates like a front end loader. Okay. Because those streets are so tiny and we can't put a regular plow through them that we would go through just normally. Right. We have to physically bring in a couple of those pieces, lift it out, take it to another location, then take it to that final destination where I told you guys about to go visit. I really do want the media to see how much snow we took out of the city at these dump sites. Go to 33rd and Diamond, go down to the Navy Yard, go to all of those locations. Many of them are full. Over 10 of them are full right now. So it just is a testament to the hard work of all of these guys, especially back there. I want to acknowledge really quickly the Future Track program and our district residential cleaning program. They cleaned 1,600 ramps in the midst of the storm. So the idea to use this process, because it worked, we said, well, let's bring in same-day work pay and do it in other neighborhoods, and since it worked down in these other locations. So that's how these things are developed and designed, and that's how we adjust to the problems and the need. We heard you about SEPTA. We heard you about our ADA ramps. And this is the focus now with all of these teams here to go on. We're going to continue to do that. What you say, Mayor, as long as it takes?
As long as it takes.
As long as it takes.
Yes.
You said, we talked at the very first press conference about frustration. Yes. We know frustration. And in the video, you said, so I'm sure you're aware of just the overarching frustration out there and how folks out there are holding you guys accountable for not getting the city back to the level that they expect.
Absolutely, absolutely. So to that, I expect that. You certainly, if you've having to try to figure out where to go, you had an elderly person trying to get to a hospital, you trying to get to your work or your job space, and you see this in front, and then you start to worry because as time goes on, you don't think we're coming. I will be frustrated, and I can understand that, and I can appreciate that. This is why we deployed as much as equipment as possible. The challenge, though, is that we still have to fight these elements. We still have to deal with parked cars, unfortunately, in those areas that we have to maneuver around. To bring in that much equipment in a lifting operation is much different than a plowing operation.
Wow.
So we have to shut down streets and roadways and sections, go in, remove the snow, and then move to another grid. That takes much longer than us plowing main streets that are wide open and to be able to get out in time. But we understand the frustration. We certainly appreciate all the residents' patience, and we're going to continue to work hard to try to address those issues.
Before we get to you with your questions, I'm going to ask our head of OEM. Dom, can you talk to us about sort of maritime? When we mentioned that and we're going through the brief, the first day you started talking about something happening in Trenton, and I was like, what does Trenton have to do with Philadelphia? Now we're talking about supply and ships, and explain what's happening.
Yeah, it's certainly, as the head of the Office of Emergency Management and the city's emergency management coordinator, it's not hyperbole to talk about the emergency that we're still in. And before the storm started, we talked about all the preparation that was being done, the readying of forces, the pre-treating of roads, and we talked that we would be in response for several days. And if you go back and run the video, I talked about recovery. And we're in that recovery right now. And it's not hyperbole to consider that we're still under emergency conditions, because in one realm, we're talking about transportation, roadways, sidewalks, pathways, what we're used to. But also under the transportation umbrella is all the activity that occurs on the Delaware River. Also under the emergency umbrella is the human services element. You heard about the Code Blue operation that the city has not missed a beat on throughout this, and as a matter of fact, changed our model during the storm because we knew transportation was going to be limited, and so we provided additional services during that heightened storm period to account and to pivot in real time. And then the other piece that we're concerned about, and I want to be really clear because this is where the public comes in preparing themselves, we are still concerned about this extreme cold. Calling out that it has been the longest stretch of sub-freezing in 22 years, and oh, by the way, we're right back into sub-freezing for who knows how long, right? Ask your own meteorologists. For the longer range 10 or so day forecast, we don't get out of freezing. That is unusual here. It's not unheard of, but it is unusual, and that stresses and makes the potential for a lot of not great things to happen. And so you hear how it's affecting the snow fighting operation, and Mayor's asked me to really focus in on, we have been, since the snow started falling on that Sunday, in daily conversations, in-person conversations, and in senior leader conversations with the United States Army Corps, with the United States Coast Guard, with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, with the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, with the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, with authorities in New Jersey, with authorities in Bucks County, really focusing in on those conditions for all of the critical infrastructure that relies on this. You heard about One Impact. There is a ship with salt that has a purchase order from the city of Philadelphia that is supposed to be delivered to Fairless Hills. Fairless Hills is iced in. The Coast Guard is doing cutting operations on the river every single day, and they've been an immense partner, and we're not out of this yet. But that plays into everything that's going on here. That plays into the strategy about how we use roadway salt and what we can produce to fight this storm, and whether we need to use other measures or take advantage when the weather finally gives a break, just yesterday and today. And there are still other impacts to be concerned about. And I don't say that to scare folks, but we have to be ready, and we have to be clear-eyed that this is a different set of circumstances. And what I mean by that is we should still be prepared, God forbid, some sort of power outage, some sort of disruption to the ability to turn on our faucet and get water the way we usually can. All of those things are true 365 days a year, but right now they're extremely true because of the severe cold. We are on it. There are city forces doing things that we have not had to do in 22 years or longer. There's things that are being done that you have not seen and probably won't see. And we're doing everything we possibly can to keep things running, but there's still a public element to this. Have food, non-perishable, for yourself, your pets, and bottled water or drinking water for a 3-day supply. We know that's tough. We know folks don't have the storage at home, might not have the means to go out and do that, but there are creative ways to do that, and there are tips on phila.gov/OEM. But when we talk about all of the challenges, and these aren't excuses, this is the reality of what everyone here has been navigating. 36 hours up and operating, that is not unheard of. It's been the norm for many of the folks here, many of the senior leaders. And so, I hope that gives a little bit of a glimpse of all of the pots on the stove, so to speak, that we are keeping an eye on, and how all of these things intermingle with one another. These systems, they all rely on one another. And so keeping all of these things moving and doing what we expect them to do so that we don't have these challenges and we don't perceive a drop in service, that's been our charge, that's been our focus, but it's been a gigantic effort behind the scenes, and we're not out of it until that cold breaks.
Don, we're not asking you to be the meteorologist, but you just, made my heart beat a little faster when you said we are, the next 10 days, we think we will be in these same.
Yeah, so I neglected to mention the most immense partner, the National Weather Service, and their Mid-Atlantic Regional Forecast, River Forecast Center, The long range, and again, within TV's reporting it as well, we're tracking the forecast there. We don't get out of freezing temperatures for a meaningful period of time. And coming out of freezing for a couple hours, 34, 35 degrees like yesterday for a couple hours, doesn't thaw the ice on that river. It doesn't thaw the piles out here. It doesn't thaw the piles that are 12 feet high at all of these sites. We're going to be in recovery in many aspects for a little while here. And that's the sober picture that we have in mind, and everything we are doing publicly and behind the scenes to be ready for that. Thank you, Mayor.
You. We'll take 2 more. Yes, Pat?
It was just harder than you expected, because based on what you said, people were expecting, had higher expectations of what the city would do. Is it just not?
No, I don't think our expectations were too high. We don't apologize for having high expectations for the work that we produce here as a city in the Parker administration, and I think we are doing everything that we possibly can right now, using every tool in the toolbox. But I appreciated Director Williams affirming that we know what it's like to feel frustrated. I just want to give you an example. I'm thinking about the seniors. I cared for my grandfather. Even when I was a state rep, commuting back and forth from Harrisburg, my grandfather lived with me. Guess what I did? I had a home health aide who traveled to our house every day in the morning who helped him get ready. He would then be downstairs in his wheelchair. Guess who he was waiting for? His CCT Connect drivers. They would come and literally lift Daddy's wheelchair, get him down the steps, and get him onto the CCT truck or van, and guess where he would go? He would go to home care on Germantown Avenue. It was called HomeLink, was his program, and he went every day. Well, if I'm a person who has to go to work every day, and I need to go to work in order to pay my mortgage, my rent, take care of my household, but CCT Connect may not be working, what about the home health aide who can't because they're having challenges in their neighborhood get to you? So those are natural, real frustrations, and you can't be upset at any Philadelphian who is experiencing that kind of feeling right now, and they have a right to be frustrated, and they also have a right to expect their government to continue doing and not let up, at any time, to say the job's not done until we can get through every neighborhood. We can walk it, we can drive it, our ADA ramps are accessible, where we have to wait for SEPTA, our bus shelters, they're cleared, our rec centers, everything that we need to do. So we won't stop. Yeah, well, 1 second, Sean. Well, okay, yes.
How much is the hourly rate for the same day pay, and are you asking workers?
You have that, I too.
There's an 1,100-person waiting list. And then I also have a question for you, Ms. Lawson, when it comes to the rec center and how you've been able, as you said, challenges will arise. It's all about how we meet them. Can you please talk to me about what you've done in this whole group in terms of opening up 24 hours and housing people and
Good question. We're gonna address the first one. You talked about the hourly rate.
Yeah, so the hourly rate is $25 an hour for these individuals. In addition to that, they are actually also outfitted with protective gear. So we've made sure that they've had hats, coats, gloves, boots, so they make sure that they have everything that they need while they do that. Also, lunch is provided each day for them as well. So we're making sure that they're hydrated, they're fed, and that they're taken care of, and the wage is $25.
Ask people to sign up, or you have a long list?
So we have a list of people that's already there. However, you can actually go to the CEO website. Individuals can go to the CEO website for the city and sign up for the same-day work and pay program, and one of the providers will get back to them. So there are opportunities, maybe not today or tomorrow, but we do have opportunities, coming forward. You're
One
welcome.
second, let's let Orlando.
Just want to reiterate the email would be ceo.sdwp@phila.gov. And there's also a number if anybody would like to call at 215-685-3629. They can leave their name and a good contact number, and someone will get back to them right away, put them on the list for any future activities or incidents that they may be utilized for.
Orlando, somebody is saying what does CEO mean?
Community empowerment and opportunity in the mayor's office.
Thank you. All right.
And MDO.
Yes.
Thank you for that question, because what I'd like to start off with is to give you the phone number. If you see someone outside who needs help, please dial 215-232-1984. Again, that's 215-232-1984. So the ability for us to house Parks and Recreation, we have the sites, we have the facilities, but the City of Philadelphia with One Philly, we have partners that come in. So it's not just Parks and Recreation staff that's working overnight. And so when we hit that stretch where it was below 20 for 3 days, again, I want you all to realize that we don't make these responses the day of. We're on phone calls on the weekends for hours, preparing. We're listening to weather days in advance. So when that time came, we already had the facilities, we already had the teams, we had OEM, and Dom, who was standing up here, OEM runs all day, all night, 24/7. There are people from each one of our departments that are are manning that station to make sure whatever is needed, we're getting. So prior to these cold nights, our plans are already in place. We have people, thank God. I just wish that some of my other people were up here. I mentioned Sue Buck, but there are people that are committed to making sure that Philadelphia is providing the utmost service that they can. And this is one of the ways that we do it. So we had a facility that we didn't have for families on the fly, right? After we had a long conversation days in advance, we realized we needed a specific facility just for families. So we opened up one just for families. We have transportation where we're making sure that people are getting to the various services, and then they're picked up and taken to libraries. So every aspect that we could possibly think of as a group, as a team, as One Philly, we're talking about these things way in advance. We're coming up with plans. We're making sure we're in the right neighborhoods, because there's some neighborhoods that need this service more than others. And so we show up. We also make sure that we're not over-housing. So if we need to open up an additional location, because we keep those numbers. As you notice, I mentioned how many numbers we had over the week. We're paying attention, so if we need to open another facility, we open it.
Going back to starting Monday morning quarterback, the beginning of the storm, people often talk about that critical juncture after snowfall before archeries, extended archeries in this case. You mentioned that there's twice as many resources available as the storm in 2020. Were all those resources available in the beginning? For instance, this program is just launching now, a week later. Did we have everything we needed in the initial phase?
In the initial phase, absolutely. Our goal was to continuously get ahead of this storm. And so Commissioner Del Rossi and the whole entire team, at the height of the storm, we had over 800 pieces of equipment and 1,000 people working. That was after the first snowflake fell, and then it became when you can start plowing, it became plowable. We hit the streets. And then we constantly did it. It was around the clock. Some streets, and I got reports of it, that we plowed 3, 4, 5 times. And then it came back. And then we had to continue doing it. Hence, apologies to the public. Some cars got snowed in that process because they begin to dig out. And then we had to come back and plow again, and they dig out. And that's going to be frustrating. That's part of that frustration that you talked about earlier. But we were out there at the beginning, during, and at the end of the storm as well. So we're constantly battling it well after the storm concluded as well.
And lastly, could you talk about the salt issue with the barge? Is that limiting operations now?
So I'm going to talk about where we are at our salt levels, Commissioner Del Rossi. So we are monitoring it very closely, which is why we have to efficiently use it, right? And I get calls, some 311 calls, can you come salt our block? We have to send inspectors out to make sure that that's warranted, because we know we're at a point where we get another storm, we need to have enough to supply the city so that we can make all areas and all roads safe and passable. Our levels, what we used for the month of January, over 30,000 tons. We have about 15,000 tons in reserve right now, so we're looking to refill, and that's why this barge issue is so important, and we're monitoring it also as well as our vendor. But we definitely need to make sure our salt levels are at a sufficient amount so that if we get another storm like this, we can be out there preparing to fight it. But I'm going to ask Tom, you have another?
What's the order for the newest salt deployment placed in?
I'm going to ask Commissioner Del Rossi. She handles the details on that. I'm going to ask her to step up.
Hello. We order salt after every storm. So our first couple of storms that we have, every event that takes place, we immediately place an order for salt. We have multiple orders in, and currently we're waiting for our delivery of about 21,000 tons of salt, and that was prior to this event. So we have been ordering. We are always keeping our supply, our salt's full. That's our mission, keep it full.
Philadelphia, let me just say this to you. You heard me say, for anyone who is frustrated right now about the ice, about the ability for all of the streets to be fully cleared, I want you to know that I understand. And I want you to know I feel it too, because we're all trying to get through our real life on a daily basis. But let me tell you what I won't do and I won't accept. Everybody can Monday morning quarterback Director Williams, and that's cool. We can't stop people from feeling the way they feel. But let me tell you something. You were prepared. We were prepared. And we could not, if anyone tells you, Sean, if the Inquirer believes that the city of Philadelphia should have had a crystal ball to be able to tell us how long we would have sub-freezing temperatures.
Go ahead, Mary.
We don't promise to be perfect, Philadelphia. I never have, as mayor, and my team definitely doesn't. We promise to go to war with the status quo and to fix things, to be doers. And that's what this team, the leadership team, and the amazing men and women who are a part of our city workforce, along with our contractors who we are working with. We're going to continue doing everything that we can to make sure all of this work is done. But I'm going to ask Dominic Morales, who leads our Office of Emergency Management, to come up to you and affirm. And we pay for a weather service, but when this started, were we able to project how long we would be in sub-freezing temperatures? That's important, because it's almost, English literature, the antagonist of the story is Mother Nature. And anyone acting as if we should be able to know what the next step of a mother, like yesterday I said to myself, oh my God, it feels just a little bit warmer. Now things are going to melt. And my girlfriend said, yeah, but if the temperatures drop overnight, that excitement that you have, that thin, how it's thinly, you see snow and ice melting, and it's a real thin, coating of water. She said, what are you going to do when that thin coating of water becomes a thin coat of ice, and you can't even, we used to call it black ice when I was growing up, and you think you're walking on it, and then you fall. So I want you, Dom, to come up and give that some context, please.
Yeah, I'm going to answer without making any weather person jokes, right? But there's a lot, right? And I think for real reason, the science is hard. The science and the interpretation is difficult, and sometimes it's just that interpretation, right? And there are members of the media here who, after the flood on 676 in 2020, said, how didn't the city predict that was going to happen? And my response was, how didn't the TV meteorologists tell us that we were going to get that amount of rain and it was going to look like that several days beforehand? So we need to start from a place of forecasting is a science, but not an exact science.
Right.
Before this storm started, it wasn't until Friday, with snowfall being projected to start Sunday night into Monday, when any weather forecaster would start to give us any ranges, inches, amount of snow and precipitation type with confidence.
Right.
You could see they were given probabilities, it's 60% that it could be 8 or more inches and 68%. So we were navigating that space with you all, with the public throughout. Every year we host Winter Weather Plan Conference to mirror what the Streets Department does with the winter weather and snow removal operations kickoff. I think it was at the Horticultural Center this year before the first snowfall. And the Winter Weather Plan to mirror that was hosted out of the city's Emergency Operations Center. And we get an outlook for the season, and they say, well, this season might be a little bit colder and a little bit snowier, or it might be a little bit warmer and a little bit wetter, right? But until we're in it, and until that forecast comes, we have to respond in real time and stay just ahead. And right now, you can go to any prediction. You're not going to get longer than 10 days outlook, not even forecast, outlook of what those temperatures are going to be. And so we're in it until we're not, frankly. And weather is no surprise to this city, right? Just like we're here in extreme cold, we're here last year in extreme cold, maybe a little bit less of a snowier winter last year. We do the exact same thing in the summer. The city's severe heat and severe weather plan process is identical. And we're expecting international visitors this summer, and we're looking forward to them being here. We're looking forward to them being down at the matches, to being up on Lemon Hill, to being at all of our July 4th celebrations. Severe weather planning is a pillar of all of those things, because we know all it takes is a couple stretches of a couple warm days to make all of those assumptions and all those really well-laid plans entirely different. And that's a little bit where we are today, is the plans, the resources, and the decisions that we made with the forecasts at the time. We're continuing to pivot, and we'll continue to pivot under the mayor's leadership. And we hope that the weather breaks like all of you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Philadelphia, I want to close on this. You have often heard me use an acronym that I refer to, because I've interacted with a lot of these people in my life. I call them, Joe Grace, expert AOPs. These are expert AOPs. And especially whenever we've been dealing with something challenging in government, or we have a big problem in government, and we get around the table, there are some people who are expert articulators of problems. These are expert AOPs. They can, really good. They can clearly and effectively and efficiently communicate what the problem is. This is not a team of expert AOPs. This is a team of subject matter experts who are doers, and they are fixers. And we're human beings. We don't promise to be perfect, but Philadelphia, we need you to know that we won't rest. We won't stop. Our job won't be done until every street in the city of Philadelphia is walkable, it is passable, every curb cut, every bus shelter, everything that we need to do to go about our daily days. We want to make sure we are addressing all of that. While we don't control Mother Nature, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to fix it. Thank you so very much, Philadelphia, for your time and patience. And thank you, Carlton Williams. Let me put this on the record. When we did realize that we were coming into crisis, and we know, where's Dom? We know we have the best office of emergency management. I'm telling you, one in the country, Commonwealth, he does it, okay? But Carlton, while we did know that this was going to be big, and for you, you know how people are going to perform when you've seen them in the foxhole. Sometimes there are challenges, and the more pressure that comes, you've seen people just, not be able to take the pressure, and they falter. Thank you for leading the city of Philadelphia's efforts to one of the most challenging snowstorms and emergencies that we've ever had in the city of Philadelphia's history. And I have every confidence possible in you, your leadership, and the work that you do. And more importantly than that, I want to say this to you if I haven't. You remember we were together and at an event recently, and you left. You want me to tell you what you should be real pleased about? Listening to the workforce talk about their belief and their confidence and their respect for you, because you know their work and you're on the ground, and I have full confidence in you. Thank you, Philadelphia.
Thank you all. Thank you. Keep up.